So with the main printer upgraded and ready, we can now move on to bolting on the actual Vortek system, which includes the induction hot end rack mount beam assembly, the rack assembly, latch actuator, and other related accessories. With all ready and at hand, let's crack on. Up until now, we've been replacing parts within the existing printer. Now it's time to add the extra components that form the basis of the Vortek system, starting with the Vortek rack mount beam. You'll find these metal beams in box number 9 of the Vortek upgrade kit, with a metal bracket alongside the 2 beams. And we'll also need all the screws from box number 3. Before going any further, if the heat bed is in a high position, carefully tilt the printer and pull the bottom belt to lower the heat bed down to the bottom. This will make the remainder of the installation easier. So we'll start with the small metal bracket. The shorter side lines up with the positioning threads in the bottom beam, closer to the rear side of the printer's frame. Position the block so that the flat portion is on the inner side of the printer, as shown here, and secure using 3 M3x5 screws, carefully driving each screw in until the part is nice and snug. Once in place, we're ready for our first rack mount beam. Notice the holes on either end of the beam. These line up with the holes in the existing frame, so tilt the beam so that the ends sit behind the frame and straighten until the holes line up between both beam and frame, before using 2 M3x6 screws to secure, and repeating the same on the opposite side. That's our first beam installed. It's the same process for the lower beam, lining up so that the holes correspond with those in the frame, and securing with 2 M3x6 screws at either end. And with that, our rack mount beams are installed. So we're ready for the actual rack assembly next. We'll get the cabling installed in preparation first though, so in the induction hot end rack package, locate the rack cable along with the ferrite core. You'll notice the plugs on the ends are different sizes. Install the ferrite core on the end of the cable with the larger plug by wrapping around and clipping closed, before plugging the cable connector into the matching port at the upper left corner of the board, and then arranging the cable neatly into the cable grooves inside the chamber to ensure the routing is tidy and free of tangles, and then behind the rear right pillar of the printer. Proceed to use some of the supplied tape from box 3 to secure the cable to the inside of the frame, and then attach the cable clips to the side on the lower rack beam we just installed, so that the cable can now feed through each clip and pass through the hole in the beam, ready for installation to the rack assembly. Talking of the rack assembly then, finally it's time to get this installed. Carefully inspect the rack, note the cable connector in the very bottom, along with the 4 mounting locations on the rear side, which will marry up with the 4 screw holes in the 2 beams we previously installed. Okay, so begin by connecting the loose rack connector cable to the bottom of the rack assembly, making sure it is firmly connected and in place, before lining up the rack against its beams. Before securing with 4 M3x6 screws, complete with red thread lock, at both the top and bottom of the beam to ensure even loading without looseness or misalignment. With those in place, insert another 2 M3x6 screws, again with red thread lock, into the bottom edge of the assembly. Do not over tighten these, they won't go in all the way, so just until snug since they'll be used for positioning the rack later. With all in place, we can finally, but carefully, cut the 2 zip ties using diagonal cutters. And that's the bulk of the Vortek system pretty much installed. Check to ensure you have full range of motion. We move on to the hot end latch actuator assembly next, also referred to as the pull handle unlocking assembly. It mechanically controls the engagement and release of the hot end, so a rather important piece of the Vortek system. Start by inserting the cable connector into the corresponding port, making sure it's securely in place, before sliding into position from left to right so it backs onto the metal block we previously installed, and secure using 3 M3x5 screws. And that's pretty much it. Actuator installed. Press the button at the bottom of the assembly and check whether the internal pin rises in order to confirm correct function. If all is well, we're ready to tidy up on the install. and that starts with replacing the front cover. This is simply a visual enhancement where we replace the H2D cover with a H2C one instead. To do this, begin by removing any installed USB thumb drive, and then remove the single screw from the inner side of the top frame using a 1.5 hex driver, before unclipping the right top side of the front cover, and then the left, and then lift the whole panel slightly to release. Next, pull it from the right side panel, although do not pull away too far as the display cable is connected to the printer with a delicate ribbon cable. So proceed to lift the locking latch and remove the ribbon cable with care. With the panel now released, we need to remove the display. To do this, gently remove the adhesive beneath the connector, and once free, release the 2 screws holding the display in position, before releasing the screen completely. Reverse the process to install on the new H2C panel, so pass the connector through the corresponding hole, sliding the display to the left to lock into place, before securing the connector back down, and securing the 2 screws previously removed, now fixing the display screen into position. Bring the panel close to the printer frame and connect the display ribbon cable to the connector, closing the latch to secure it into place. All that's left then is to insert the left side of the front panel into the corresponding slot on the chamber, before pressing the front cover downward so that all clips are fully engaged into the frame slots. Finally, secure the single screw back into the rear side of the top middle frame. And with that, front panel replacement is complete. In fact, that's the entire Vortek upgrade complete at this point, so we're ready to run a quick check. If the tool head latch is locked, pull it to the right to unlock it, and then place any one of the supplied induction hot ends into the dock. Once the hot end is seated correctly, push the latch to the left to lock it into place. In fact, you can go ahead and get the left nozzle in place here too if you prefer, although it won't be used for the next steps regardless. Just be sure the flow blocker covers it so it's out of the way for now. At this point, it's a good idea to manually check and adjust the Vortek rack height. To do this, you'll need the 2 calibration blocks, which you will have hopefully printed earlier in the guide. These are placed at either end at the top of the rack. Loosen the 4 rack screws slightly. We're not removing them, just loosening a little to give the rack some slack. Now move the nozzle above the front block. The nozzle should just barely be above the block, as shown here. Use the bottom screws to raise or lower the rack as required. Repeat with the rear block. Again, using the bottom screw to raise or lower as required. Once you're happy with the distance set, tighten the 4 rack screws, starting with the top 2. With that done, move the tool head aside and remove the calibration blocks. We're now ready to insert the safety key, as well as a power cable, and power up the printer. The display screen should light up, meaning it's all connected and working fine, and once at the main screen, check the assistant icon in the lower right corner of the screen for any error prompts. No errors here, so it seems all components are operational. Next, enter the control screen and verify whether the induction hot end rack is displayed. If you see a message stating the hot end rack is not initialized, this is normal. You can skip it for now and perform initialization after completing the entire installation. After confirming there are no errors then, we can turn off the printer. We can get the side panel on now, so proceed to ensure the locating pins at the bottom correspond with those on the printer's frame, and then insert them, as well as the pin by the front corner. Bringing the panel close enough to reconnect the hall sensor cable we previously removed. Once secure, raise and seal the panel against the frame by pushing down on both sides and across the top so that all clips are fully engaged. At this point, check to ensure the seal on the door side is all flat. If there are any wrinkles or misalignment, manually smooth and press the seal to ensure proper alignment. Secure into place by reinserting the 2 screws under the rubber flaps in the door seal, and then the 2 screws in the upper corners on the inside of the printer. Side panel now installed, and we can get the 2 PTFE tubes back in place now. So at the tool head, the light coloured tube goes into the left port, and the dark coloured tube into the right port. Route both round through the reserved holes on the side of the cable chain, and insert into the rear buffer, so the light coloured tube on the bottom, as that leads to the left nozzle, and the darker one up top. A new part next, the enhanced cooling fan, located in box number 6. On some H2D machines, the original cable clip on the right front pillar inside the chamber is installed too low and may interfere with the movement of the tool head enhanced cooling fan. In this case, use a scraper to gently pry along the edge of the original cable clip and remove it smoothly, taking care not to damage the pillar surface or the cables. You'll find a replacement clip in box 3, so peel off the adhesive backing and install it slightly further up, just above the beam, before reinserting the cables. So with that done, the enhanced cooling fan clips into place over the front of the tool head, after which the fan cable can be plugged into the top rear of the tool head. All that's left here then is to get the build plate into position on the new heat bed. All done with the front of the unit now then, leaving us with just the rear panel. Starting with the purge chute then, you'll notice 2 clips on the bottom here. Align these with the bottom slots and push upwards slowly until it snaps into place, before tightening the mounting screw. Make sure the chute is firmly installed and that the top sides of the chute are on the outer edges of the inner frame. With that secure, insert the rear cover at an angle from the bottom of the printer, aligning the 4 bottom slots, then adjust it until the edges are flush and push it forward so the cover is fully seated. Remember, there were 2 sets of screws here. Starting with the tighter threaded 6mm machine screws, proceed to install 4 up one side, 4 on the opposite side, and 3 in a triangle shape in the top middle. That just leaves the final set of 8mm self-tapping screws. These have the wider thread. Start with the 4 across the very top of the panel, 1 by the external spool holder, 1 above the purge chute, and 1 just below, the 2 beside the purge chute, and another 2 directly below the previous, leaving us with 1 final screw just above the power button. And that's it. Insert the power safety key and installation is complete. At this point, it's a good idea to perform some basic maintenance on your printer, so applying some oil to the linear rail, considering it's a newly installed part, as well as grease on the Z-axis screw rods. Upon powering up the printer then, connect to your network and bind to a Bambulab account. This should be quite straightforward, although if it does fail, ensure the new serial is activated as the process will not complete otherwise. Once done, you'll be prompted to update firmware, so go ahead and let it do its thing. Should this firmware update not automatically pop up, head into the printer settings and select the option to manually update. After the firmware update is complete, the system will prompt to initialize induction hot end rack. Follow the on-screen instructions to complete initialization. Again, if no prompts appear, you can manually enter the calibration page to run the induction hot end rack initialization process. Give the process time to complete as it can take a while. Once complete, we can go ahead and retrieve the remaining H2C induction hot ends and install them onto the induction hot end rack. These are all magnetic, so will pop directly into place, with a small status light indicating it has been detected. And then let the calibration complete. Again, this will take some time, so sit back and watch it do its thing. It's actually quite impressive. With the process complete, we can now go ahead and perform a full calibration of the entire printer. This process will take some time, so get yourself a drink and leave the printer to test and complete. As long as you have no error messages at the end, you're good to proceed. Congratulations! You have now completed a successful H2D to H2C Vortek upgrade, and you can go ahead and run your first test print.